Welcome, everybody, to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. My name is Farbod Makazi, and I'm here today with Alex Rudy. And today we're going to do a little fantasying, if you will. Is that a verb? I don't know. I'm not really
Now
good
it
at
is.
English. I guess it is. Our other guys, Alex Uwe and Ray Estrada, are busy living it up on vacation right now. So, Rudy, it's just you and I today. How do you feel about that?
Scared but excited.
Scared. Okay. That's interesting. All right. Before we get into things, I want to give a quick shout out to, I don't know if you heard of this. I'm sure you have. Umpire Tom Payne, who was out and about in Pittsburgh, and when he saw a woman on the other side of the ledge of a bridge, he proceeded to talk her out of jumping off and taking her life, and he was rightfully honored at the game today for what he did. So I want to give that shout out, and I think we need to send our best wishes to. I'm sure you saw this Yankees rookie Dustin Fowler, who
Oh man, that was just brutal.
fearlessly ran like he ran at full speed into that wall.
Just so sad. In first game in the major
For
leagues, to
major
get
league
hurt like
debut,
that
yeah,
is
it was awful.
horrible.
And I know a pitcher, Garrett Richards. He had the patellar tendon injury a couple years ago, so I feel that as an Angel fan. So best wishes go out to
He
him.
came back pretty good from that, right? I mean, obviously he ended up with the shoulder issues,
Yeah, he came back. His
unrelated, but he
his
just as
knee's
good.
strong. His knee's fine. It's
Yeah.
it's his shoulder. Knock on wood. I don't need any other thing hurt by Garrett Richards. And his elbow too. His elbow was the first thing injured, and then now his shoulder. Um,
Yeah, I'd say Trey Turner also just got looks like he's broke his wrist, so he'll
yes.
probably be out for a couple months, I would assume, considering the past guys had that injury. That sticks with you for a while, which is a shame because he's been having an MVP-esque caliber season. I don't know if he's quite in the running to be an MVP himself, but Uwe is crying. I'm sure that his latest obsession of latest crush is on the DL.
Do you
Yeah,
expect him to come back at full force like he's been?
I don't think anyone really comes back from full force within the same season with wrist breaking the wrist, in my opinion. That might be a little bit over
I think
dramatic.
hitting wise,
I don't know. Guys
being
seem to
the
be
wrist injuries
affected
are
by that for a
sketch.
long time. Yeah, it seems
And
like
and
those
you're
guys.
you're used to Mark Teixeira, who had
Mark Teixeira never was the same, probably,
yeah
and
that changed him
you know,
forever. I think it was
Will Myers took 2 years, basically,
yes.
a year and a half. His career is, I think his potential has always been actually permanently affected by that his wrist injuries. He injured both wrists, and I think he went from an MVP potential guy hitter to a good all-star caliber guy. And you know Freeman is coming back from a wrist injury. We'll see how he comes back from that. And
We'll get to
I think
Freeman later in this show too.
yeah, guys
Um,
have that injury a lot, and it seems to always affect them for a lot longer than it takes to come off the DL, in my opinion. So hopefully Trey is one of those guys who comes back strongly from, because I think we all can agree that he's one of the most exciting players, young players in baseball.
I agree with that. Let's move on to someone who used to be the Treya's team, the Nationals, Wilson Ramos, who was let go by the Washington Nationals after tearing his ACL last year. He's finally back on the baseball field for his new team, the Tampa Bay Rays. Rudy, where do you rank him? Even though it's early, like in his season wise, and we haven't seen him do anything really. Where do you rank him among fantasy catchers fantasy wise? And I mean,
For,
sorry, a reminder that this guy was very dynamic for the Nationals last year
it's
offensively.
really hard to tell because he's had so many injuries in his career, and now I think he's coming off an ACL tear during his career best year. So it's hard to just predict automatically where a guy like that, especially a position like catcher that's so physically demanding, where he's going to end up. But for me, I think there's the clear top three right now in fantasy of Salvador Perez, Buster Posey, and Gary Sanchez. And I don't think he's close to cracking that top three. Posey's on his own level, and I think Salvi and Sanchez are definitely 2 and 3. Um, and
I
then I
mean, when
think
you're
of
looking at the catchers like fantasy wise this year,
those are
other than
really the
those
only.
three, the
Those are
catching
really
position has been pretty weak. You might put in
yeah.
JT Realmuto,
Exactly.
but
No, I would say
that's
except for
about
those
it.
three guys, and like you said, JC Realmuto is solid. Almost none of those guys are real positives. They're all below. They're all be average to below average at best at any other position, such as you have Yadier Molina, who's always consistent but never spectacular. Hasn't been spectacular in a couple of years now, and probably never will be again. Then you have the surprise guys like Alex Avila, and Tyler Flowers, who, they get you. They're effective statistically, but you never know when they're just gonna kind of
You don't know if they're a
slow
fluke or
down.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, they could be a fluke at any moment, and they don't. They're big platoon guys, so
And
they lose plenty of time.
the thing is, you mentioned how he's always like he's been injured a lot, and he's playing the physically demanding position at catcher. And one thing you could look at is he signed with an American League team that has the DH. But for me personally, I've looked at Corey Dickerson has excelled in like he's done so well playing DH, and I mean you could push Dickerson into the outfield, especially with Kiermaier gone. But it looks like the Rays outfield is already set too. So for now, I think, I mean, I like you said, I don't know where to rank him amongst these catchers, but
I'd probably put him somewhere in the top 10. I mean, there's Monty
that's not
Grandal
saying
is
a
there
lot, like we
too. He's
said.
pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna bring him
Yeah.
up.
And then you have kind of guys who it's kind of all over the place, like Austin Hedges, Mike Zunino, Evan Gaddis, your boy Martin Maldonado, even.
He's leading the league in starts right now, and he's about to like.
It's incredible.
This is completely off topic, but he in the games like almost had his career high games kept behind the plate right now.
Where did he come from?
Milwaukee.
He's like 30 years old.
Milwaukee, and he basically
Yeah.
didn't really play a lot there, and
Yeah.
he traded a prospect who was just sent down for that. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this trade right now.
And then you also have like some disappointing guys like Jonathan Lucroy, Travis d'Arnaud.
Yeah.
So I would, it's hard to make a conclusion for Ramos is playing at least a few weeks, but I think he has the potential to be definitely a top 5 catcher. And right now, I'd put him in my top 10. And I would definitely say there's probably plenty of teams in fantasy leagues who've been disappointed in their fantasy production from their catchers so far. Who I think it's worthwhile taking a flyer at least on him. I mean, I don't think if you don't have those top 3 that we mentioned, and then maybe like Grandal, Real Muto, if you're in a keeper league, maybe Contreras, I guess. Not even probably. I think you really aren't losing anything by at least trying him out and seeing what he can do, and maybe he can repeat his bit of his magic.
All right, and yeah, I agree with that. Moving on to another catcher, I kind of found this funny at the time. On Tuesday, the Washington Nationals stole 7 bases off of Jake Arrieta and Miguel Montero and the Cubs. Miguel Montero, however, after the game, had a couple words saying, those stolen bases go on me, but the pitchers don't give me any time. And the Cubs president, Theo Epstein, was not having it. He DFA'd Montero, later calling him a bad teammate. And now, I mean, this might be like a harsh thing to do to a guy who, even in the limited time that he's had behind the plate, he's hitting 286 with an 805 OPS. I found it hilarious, but he's thrown out 1 base runner in 32 attempts this season. That's definitely not only the pitchers being slow, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's yeah, I mean, he's the worst in baseball. I'm pretty sure statistically.
3%.
Yeah,
one guy
3%.
in 32 tries.
Someone even reported it was 0%. So it's one of the two. So yeah, he's terrible. Though I do have to ask, why was he even catching Arrieta? I'm pretty sure Arrieta does not. I think Arrieta prefers Contreras. I read some on MLB Reddit that he has a way lower ERA with Contreras catching him. And then to be fair to Montero, I don't think he deserves really much defending because he really has no one to blame but himself for getting released for saying just stupid comments in the media that, first of all, like we're saying right now with the 3%, he is terrible at stopping the run game. So it's beyond hypocritical. And second of all, you just never throw a teammate under the bus like that, especially for a team that's struggling and underperforming. It's really, for a guy who's supposed to be a clubhouse leader, this is his strike 3, I think, because there was the comments against Joe Madden after the World Series about his playing time, and I'm sure there was another strike in there that either we missed or like the media didn't know about. So they were just tired of dealing with him, which is I think sad because I think he was a good veteran leader from other reports I've heard, and it's good to have sometimes vocal guys like that in the clubhouse who can relieve pressure. But it's really fascinating that considering how productive he's been at the plate for a catcher, that he was released. That just goes to show you at the Cubs were not gonna stand for this. And
Would
I
you
just don't
have
even
done the same
understand
thing if
why
you
do you
were
even
Theo
catch
Epstein?
area like that? Joe Madden is supposed to be some great manager. Why'd they even have him catch him? That really made no sense to me,
I
honestly.
can't answer that. I haven't looked into that.
No one's really thought about that. I think that's like worth mentioning. It's like why was he even against the Nationals with a healthy Trey Turner at the time? I mean, come on, like that's just terrible managing. Honestly, he should. I think Madden should get some blame for this. To be honest, not that
But he's not going to.
he's not really at fault, but
Actually,
I
he
think
is. He's getting blamed from you right now. All right.
I,
Let's keep this catcher train rolling. I mean, why not? Let's keep the DFA'd catcher train rolling. Stephen Vogt. I know you've heard of him. He was DFA'd by the Oakland Athletics, and it's clear that Billy Beane does not believe in Stephen Vogt. Huh? Get it? No. It's
honestly don't get it. Can you explain it to me?
it's the right in Oakland. They have the fan that their fans go crazy whenever he comes up to the bat, and
Oh,
they yell like "I believe in Stephen Vogt" like over and over again. And
okay.
yeah, but so far for Oakland, he's hit 217, not done much really. Is this worth a shot for the Brewers?
Yeah, nothing to lose. I mean, they're the league's lowest payroll. They don't really have a mainstay catcher. I think it was a bit harsh, to be honest, how quickly the A's released him. They're
I
a
agree with
rebuilding
that.
team. It's not like, you know, I'm really surprised. I mean, if they really want to get rid of him, I'm surprised they couldn't at least train for like a player to be named later.
I figured
And
they would
also
have
just
done
shows
that.
you,
I was
the thing about Moneyball that I don't understand that I think is a great example of like, is like the lack of loyalty. I think is like it just can't be sustainable because how can you get guys to come there to ever stay long term? I guess no one does because Billy Beane always trades them before they can. But why would a free agent ever sign a long term deal there when they treat guys like this who you know Vogt's been through a lot with them. He became a nobody. He went from nobody to star, all-star
he's
catcher
one
with
of the
them. He was an
faces
all-star.
of the
Wasn't he
A's.
an all-star last year?
He was an all star. I don't know about last year, but he was an all star. The last year the Oraldis was on the Reds right before he was traded to the Yankees.
Okay, that's oddly specific.
No, like that season. I don't
So
know.
to 2015.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh, he was an all-star last year too. I just looked it up. So this guy's an all-star the past 2 seasons in a row, um, and you're just gonna release him? I don't know. That seems really brutal, really harsh to me. And he was not effective this year by any means, but he wasn't even that bad, honestly. I think
I think when you're
it has also to do with his lack of probably defensive
yeah,
skill too. But I mean, he's a clubhouse presence, and I'm just never been a fan of the harshness, I guess. And just from a fantasy perspective, I think he's playing in a great hitters park and a team that seems to be really trending upward with a great future. And I think there's a chance there's a mini resurgence this year at some point. I don't think it'll last, but there might be a solid month here at some point if you need some even more catching help. And I think Voda has a chance because he almost hit a home run his first night there. So I
he
think
got
he might do
robbed
some
by
good
Scott
things. Yeah,
Scheffler
he
or
got
whatever.
robbed. Yeah.
Um, I think when you look at the Brewers right now, you look at their catching situation. They had Jet Bandy, who they picked up in a trade for Martin Maldonado, and he started off the season hot as can be, but then he's like really cooled down and been like really poor defensively, and he was just sent down. And they never really had a starting catcher. They always it wasn't even platoon. It was just like one guy or the other. This year, and I think Stephen Vogt's going to get as good of a shot to be that catcher for them as anyone. Um, it's that time of year, if you guys are paying attention. It's when rookies are being called up, and their call ups and their time in the majors don't count against their a player service time for like free agency and all that good stuff. So we have put together a couple notable ones. Uh, Heimer Candelario. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Ian Happ, Luis Brinson, Barreto, and Hell. I don't know. I'm sorry to these guys. I don't know if I'm saying these guys right. The White Sox player and Hell Angel. Do you know how to say these guys' names? Um, there's Faria, Jacob
I do
Faria.
not know.
There's
I don't. Some of these are just yeah. I don't think I'm the person you should be coming to for baseball
True.
pronunciation
There's
name help.
Jay Gyun Huang. I'm so sorry. There's
I think that was
Andujar.
pretty accurate.
Really? There's Camargo. Out of all those guys, if you caught any of those names, you
Yeah, I actually own three of them. I
really
own Hap and actually I own four of them. I own Hap and Feria and Brinson in one league, and I own Barreto in another league. And Barreto, Alshar Barreto was a really highly touted guy at one point. I think for some reason, he kind of left rankings between now and last year. I don't know if he played in in the bigs last year and lost rookie eligibility. I just don't remember or what. But he at one point he was a pretty highly touted A's infield prospect, and he plays shortstop, second base, and I don't think there'll ever be too many good offensive shortstops and second basemen. Um, Even though middle of the infield has become a powerhouse fantasy position in this age, and I think he's really started off well, and I think definitely worth taking a flyer on in fantasy if you need a middle infielder.
now.
Brinson is supposed to be. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, now you're. I was gonna. I'll let you get to that. You're a Yankee fan, and so
Yes,
you've seen Andujar, or if I'm saying that right, either probably
I know of him. Yes, I think
you
you played yesterday for the first time ever, so I haven't really
do you
seen him,
know
but I know.
you probably know more of him than the average baseball fan though, because
I wouldn't say he's particularly fantasy relevant. He is a decently rated prospect, though he's been obviously constantly outshined by the Yankees. Crown and jewel many middle infield prospects, and in Jorge Mateo, and of course, shoot, why am I forgetting his
Gleyber
name?
Torres.
Yeah, Gleyber Torres. I say they're unforgettable. Yeah, I forget Gleyber's name. And the Yankees have, Castro and Didi, obviously, who are in their 20s, and Ronald Torres, who's a good utility guy. So he hasn't been really talked about much, but I don't think he's going to do much in fantasy-wise just because Castro is not supposed to be that long. I assume Andrew Horace is going to be sent down. But this is a guy who I think if he was traded, I would actually look into because I don't think the Yankees really have much room for him. But if a team takes a flyer on him and maybe the Yankees trade him to get some veteran help this year, make a playoff push, he might be a guy worth checking out for fantasy a lot more. Right now, I think it will probably be productive because I think almost anyone except for Chris Carter, who the Yankees actually just recalled today, can be productive in that lineup in that stadium, but nothing special at the moment, I would say.
Now you brought up Luis Brinson right before I brought Andujar up. I just traded for him. Tell me more about him, please.
Yeah, Brinson was traded in that Jonathan Lucroy trade that the Brewers clearly won from the Rangers.
Yes.
Considering Lucroy just fell off a cliff in every possible way, offensive, defensive. His pitch framing went from top to worst in like 3 seasons, which is incredible.
And he's
And
in a hitter's ballpark still, so.
yeah, exactly. And Brinson's had a terrible start, horrendous. I think he has like one hit in a week, or 10 games since being called up. But it's probably not that bad, but that's what it felt like. And he
He
is
was sent down,
incredibly
I believe.
talented. He was already sent down. Wow.
Yeah.
So that goes to show
No,
you.
right after I think the Stephen Vogt thing, or they just made a move that he was sent down.
All right, so exactly. He really struggled with his first call up to the majors, but I think he has a lot of potential going forward. He's absolutely smashed in the minors. Always been a top-rated prospect. Super athletic, big tools. Kind of reminds me of an Upton brother. I think he can either turn out to be BJ, I think, or Justin. It just really depends. It's up to him what he wants to turn into, but definitely a very high potential, high risk, all the tools are there. It just comes to if he puts it there, because as we see, guys can have all the tools and not put it all together at the plate. Like as B.J. Upton, Jason Hayward, Byron Buxton have shown in all recent memory that these top super athletic 5-tool outfield prospects can have a wide range of success, even though they seem to have all that it takes to be great.
And I've too looked into Jae-Gwon Hwang, and you said I said that name decently right, so I'm gonna take your word for it.
Enough.
But I looked into Hwang, and he if you don't know him really, you probably have seen him bat flip in the Korean Baseball League. But he came over over the winter. He played pretty solid in the minor leagues for the Giants, and he was called up just basically to avoid the opt-out free agent. Like, he can opt out if he's not called up by a certain time, He was called up to avoid that. I think once Eduardo Nunez comes back, he'll probably be pushed to a bench spot for the Giants, but when you have that Giants team, you never know. So that's all about Hwang.
Yeah, probably a guy who'll be more interesting if they really go full rebuild and start tearing it down and selling.
He's 29 though.
More players. Oh, really? I didn't realize.
He's
wow,
29. He just came over in AAA. He hit 287 with 9 homers in like 60-something games.
So probably not going to be super fantasy relevant anytime.
I don't really expect it. I mean, he hit 27 homers last year in the Korean Baseball League, but that's the Korean
Eric
Baseball League.
Thames hit like 87.
Yes. But that's Eric Thames. He gets drug tested every day.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on from rookies.
I think that proves my point, if anything.
True. Let's talk about someone who's been in the league for a little bit. Freddie Freeman. He's on his way back from the disabled list, and he's been playing at a different position than he did when he went on the disabled list. He's going to be at third base because the Braves want Matt Adams to stay at first. And right now, because of how he's been, like his track record and how he's been doing offensively before his injury, and now he's a third baseman, where do you think he ranks among MLB third baseman? Because that's a pretty good position right now when you're thinking of Arenado, Machado, Bryant, Donaldson, Rendon. If you want to put Longoria and company in there too, like it's a pretty good position. Where do you rank Freeman as a third baseman right now?
Yeah, before I get to that, I just wanted to mention just one more thing about the rookies. I just wanted to throw in there. Sorry that Ian Happ has second base eligibility, which is just why I thought he was worth mentioning, because I think while he's been a little bit disappointing as an outfielder so far, I think now he's he's left, center, and second base in ESPN. That's a pretty effective utility guy in my opinion, considering his power. Okay, sorry. Back to Freeman. It's hard to tell if he's going to stay there permanently, because I don't think he's even played a game there yet. So if he and Matt Adams are going to end up doing that long term, with Adams staying at first base and Freeman permanently moving to third, or Freeman occasionally getting reps at first when Adams is not playing or pinching or something. He is, like you said, enjoying a really deep position this year. But at the same time,
Brian's been down.
Brian Machado especially have been very disappointing. Machado has really been awful, honestly. I would say it's just been bad this year, straight up. When Yangervis Solarte, Marwin Gonzalez, and Ryan Healy all have more points than you do, you're definitely not having an MVP caliber year like Machado is supposed to have this season. Though I will admit, Ryan Healy's been quite good.
Having a very good year at the third base
Moustakas
position.
has been great though. Jake Lamb, I don't know if you mentioned him.
No, I did not. That's a good
monster.
name.
There's Matt Carpenter. There's Miguel Sano. And there's plenty of
Is Carpenter playing
guys.
third base this year?
He's eligible on ESPN.
Okay.
It's a fantasy podcast, so I think he's playing first though now. But I mean, just in terms of his fantasy. But then there's also so many solid guys like Jose Ramirez, Travis Shaw, an older Longoria, Eugenio
It's funny
Suarez,
we mentioned the
Josh
the
Harrison,
weak.
Cal Seager. It's a deep ass
No,
position. I
we,
don't
we
think
we
Freeman
mentioned the weak catching position in fantasy, but look at third base, and that's just.
is stacked.
And then you look at shortstop; that's improving as the years go by
Oh
too.
yeah.
So
Third base is just beyond Adrian Beltre, he hasn't really played that much. I mean, there's Danny Valencia even. I mean, the position is endless,
that's why I find it hard to
and
really rank
Matt
him anywhere.
Davidson seated up. I mean, I don't know. Freeman went from like actually a surprisingly really weak position at first base, which is nowhere near what it used to be like 5 or 7 years ago, where he has competition and Goldschmidt, obviously Vada, Rizzo, I guess Bellinger, he's playing outfield right now. But then after that, and I think he's arguably better than all those guys. He was at least before. The only real first baseman he wasn't better than before he went on the DL, at least this year, was Ryan Zimmerman, who's having a very suspiciously good bounce back here. It's hard to really believe. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I think Freeman doesn't really gain that much value with third base eligibility, to be honest,
Really,
fantasy-wise. But, well, there's just so many good third basemen, whereas first base, he's a lot closer to being definitely one of the best. But I think either way, that guy mashes, and he's a must own and must start no matter what your situation is. I mean, he's a beast. I just don't think.
I think I'm gonna have to see him at third base first because
if he gained like catching eligibility, I'd be like, wow,
the
like
the first thing I
monster.
texted you and Uwe when I saw he's gonna move to third base, I was like, he's not left-handed because I could have sworn he like I didn't know he was that, but then I started thinking about damn his value could go up even more with third base eligibility. I just have to see him at third base because, like you said, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be the third baseman of the future, not of the future, but the third baseman for the Braves, and going to be there permanently and have Matt Adams at first, or they're going to put someone else at first. But for now, I think he's he, I don't know. I think his value is going up a little bit, at least with that third base eligibility.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I think it's that time again where you guys you're used to this. I'm used to this. Everyone's. It's time to play. Here to stay or keep away. I think the names.
I love this. My favorite game that we do personally because I just love to shout out Fangraph stats until they don't make any more sense.
I think the game's very self-explanatory. I will be naming off a pre-selected list of players who are heating up or not right now, and you will help me decide if they are here to stay and you should pick them up or acquire them or keep away. First player, Randall Grichuk of the St. Louis Cardinals. He was struggling so much at the beginning of the year that he was sent down to Class A Palm Beach to figure his shit out, basically. He's been back for the 5 games. In that span, he's been hitting .318, 2 homers, 9 RBIs. Here to stay or keep away.
Who were those 5 games against, just out of curiosity?
Because I need to look into that.
That matters a lot. But while you look into that, I would just say, okay, Randall Grichuk definitely is a talented player. He's athletic, great outfielder, former first-round pick. He's always had the tools. He was, not great last year, though. It's not like, he's proven to be a great MLB player already. I mean, he was good, 24 home runs in 132 games. It's fine, but he wasn't anything spectacular. And if anything, this is supposed to be his standout season. And he was good in 2015 as rookie year too, but still he wasn't great. And
it was against Pittsburgh.
He's always been. Yeah.
Sorry. It was against Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and the last 3 against Arizona.
Okay, so Arizona does have a very good staff, so I will give him credit there. But it's also an incredibly small sample size.
Yes,
and,
I completely agree with that.
He's still having a horrible year with in 50 games played, even with those 5 games. Just in every, his BABIP is actually quite high, so it's near 300. So he's not getting unlucky. He's just playing bad. He was just playing bad before he came back up, and I need definitely some more time before I'm in on him. And even then, I don't think he's must-own fantasy player, really, unless he really improves, because he's never ever been that good. I think he has the potential to still be quite good, but at the moment, he's not someone I'm super excited about yet.
All right, the next guy, Michael A. Taylor. You have to put the A, right?
Yeah, what is up with that?
I don't know. I really don't. He's one of the more like commonly added players like in the recent weeks or so in all of baseball fantasy wise. He's since taking Adam Eaton's spot, he's a slash line of 293, 325, 564. He's struck out 64 times in 49 games with 9 walks, but the average and the slash line's solid. Here to stay or keep away?
I think it really just depends on what you think you're getting. If you think you're getting the next Mookie Betts,
I know you haven't been a
Mookie
big
Betts.
believer in him in past years because he hasn't done much at all.
I don't think he's that good. I mean, his average screams lucky to me because he's a quite high BABIP. His strikeout rate is really high, though it is within his career average, but he never walks, so the plate discipline is definitely not there. And I think he's a 2020 type guy.
And he's struck out 64 times in 49 games.
And he definitely has value, but I don't know. I don't think he's anything particularly special. He's a high strikeout, low walk, low contact, medium power, medium speed guy. He kind of is like the poor man's Yasiel Puig to me, and that can be valuable in fantasy, but I don't think. And I know I keep on shouting out BJ Upton, but he does scream to me once again, BJ Upton.
You mean Melvin Upton?
Melvin Upton, yeah. I don't know. He's fine. I don't see it. I don't really see where the appeal is. Maybe you see something. I don't. I think I've seen a lot of people rave about him recently, but nothing's really standed up to me that seems so exciting.
I would only keep away because of the 9 walks and the 64 strikeouts.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
that's just awful.
That's no plate discipline. I would much rather look into another option.
Also, his ISO power rate is like very, very high compared to career averages, and that's a lot of guys a lot of guys are undergoing that shift this year, so it's not uncommon, but still something to keep your eye out for. So his power, it's hard to believe how real that is, because just for context, played 138 games in 2015, which honestly I didn't even realize he played that much that year, with only 14 home runs, and this year he has 8 home runs in 66 games. So it's hard to tell if this is really his true power based on that.
That's a great point. The next guy, Tanner Roark, the Nationals right-hander, he's struggled recently in his last 21 and third innings. He has an 8.02 ERA, bringing up his season ERA to 5.15. With a record of 6-5. Last year he went 16-10 with a 2.83 ERA. I think the year before he had an ERA in the 4s, and the year before that he had an ERA in the 2s. I think instead of asking here to stay or keep away, I think we should ask which Tanner Roark do you think is going to be the Tanner Roark for the second half of this year?
What a weird player. I've been fantasy for 2 or 3 years now. I actually finally dropped him this year, and Uwe picked him up actually. And I was pretty mad that when I picked him up because Roark went on a tear for 3 or 4 starts, but since then he's been awful. And he's a guy who came out of nowhere and then had immediate success in 2014, like you said, and then kind of up and down with some injuries. 2015, 2016. He actually pitched in the United States this year in the World Baseball Classic, I'm pretty sure. And
yes, he did.
I think he's a good innings eater, but I don't know if he'll ever have the consistency to be a truly dependable fantasy option, because he doesn't really excel in any category that is unrelated to ERA, like strikeouts or WHIP or anything like that. Like, he doesn't have a standout, exemplary other secondary category, though he has had some exceptional whips at times when he's been consistent. I might consider buying low on him because his FIP is definitely better than his ERA, though it's still not great. It's 4.32. He's getting killed by his home run to fall ball rate being 13.3, which is his second highest career average, and I'm sure that's definitely having an impact. But at this point, it kind of just looks like he had a career year in 2015, and it's hard to be convinced that he's going to return to that level at any point soon.
Brad Peacock, this is another guy. He pitches for the Houston Astros. The 29-year-old right-hander has a 2.72 ERA in 49 and 2/3 innings. His K per nine, I don't know if you've seen this, is 13.9 Ks. Brad Peacock, here to stay or keep away?
I mean, don't you think you have to sell high on Brad Peacock?
Oh, absolutely.
He's never been this good ever.
Absolutely.
There's no way this is sustainable.
He came out of nowhere. I don't know where.
And he's 29. I mean, I don't feel like this could really be.
You think it's a fluke?
Good for a 41st round pick, though. Good for him. Like, I will admit. But
you think it's a fluke?
How could it not be a fluke?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess anything's possible in baseball, and things always happen. And his FIP is actually lower than his ERA, which is incredible. It's a 2.22 FIP. That's really, really impressive. So he's definitely pitching his lights out. But I can't believe this is actually Brad Peacock. I mean, he's never been a good strikeout pitcher in the major leagues, and now he's just one of the best ones. His home run per nine rate is 0.2. That's unsustainably low. There's just no way he's going to keep that up.
Especially in Houston, where even the smallest, the weakest hit fly balls to left field can get out.
Yeah. He's leaving a pretty good amount of his runners on base. His K percent, his strikeout percentage, is so much above his career average. It seems absurd. The average that hitters are hitting against him is just exceptionally low. I would be shocked if he just suddenly just became an ace. I mean, he's a 3% home run to foul fly ball rate right now. His second lowest, that's by far his lowest in his career for a real meaningful season. I just don't see that keeping up, and it's just, I would sell high on him if you could. But
keep away, sell high. Brad Peacock. That's
great name.
Oh, absolutely. Moral of the story: he's a great name.
Definitely on the all MLB
you gotta sell high.
Team.
And Younger Solarte.
Hell yeah, that's the captain.
All right. The next one and the last one for this game. I think this one will hit me a little bit closer to home. Sean Newcomb. He's come up, pitched in 4 games. He's a 1.48 ERA, 21 strikeouts. He does have 8 walks in 24 and a third innings, though, and that's always been his Achilles heel, his command. But he's shorted up a little bit, and that's why he's been successful, and that's why in AAA and that's why he was called up. You could make the case that the best offense of the 4 games he's played in the big leagues is against the Marlins, because he's pitching against the Mets, the Marlins, the Giants, and the Padres. But he's performed nonetheless, and I mean, Sean Newcomb, here to stay or keep away?
Oh, definitely here to stay. And before I get into why, do you still make that trade for Andrelton Simmons now that Newcomb's kind of established himself in the major leagues?
I'm being honest here. I wouldn't have made it the day of. I
think it looks better now. Actually,
well, the thing is,
that's incredible.
The thing is, Andrelton Simmons. What he does for the Angels defensively, we know that. And he's become a much better offensive hitter this year too. He's producing offensively,
and he's stealing bases.
Yes, but when you look at the Angels, who have 5 starting pitchers on the DL, I'd like him. You know what I mean?
It was really a short-sighted win-now move, and I think to agree with you, I think it really goes to show you how much Simmons has improved actually offensively, because yes. I think 2 years ago when this trade was first made and Newcomb hadn't improved anything in the majors, this trade looked terrible for them, and Newcomb is doing great, as we'll get into in the major leagues now, and it actually looks better. That gives a lot of credit to Simmons, but I think Newcomb still just makes more sense because Simmons is incredible, but he's just a win now. Plays a luxury player.
I think when you look at the team, there's a lot of things that trade brought. It brought a shortstop under control for the Angels. It fit into what Billy Apple was trying to do. It's the whole. He has a very defensive minded team. Espinosa is very good at second base defensively, not offensively. Not offensively, but defensively, he's
Yeah.
very good. Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout, Cameron Maben, those guys are solid defensive players. You know,
Ben Revere. Yeah.
Ben Revere, not Unel, but
It's trash. Yeah.
Unel is trash. But yeah, that that we went off topic. Let's move back to
So
Sean
just
Newcomb.
talk about Newcomb. He was the Angels' top pitching prospect for several years. I'm pretty sure you would
He
know
was
that better than me.
for like a year and
But
a half because he was
for as
drafted in
long as
2014.
basically as long as you guys had him, because yeah, he was
Yeah,
drafted in 2014, first round
I mean
pick,
that's not saying much. The Angels'
just
top
turned
pitching prospect.
24 years old. He still went 15th overall though. That's pretty impressive. And
Yeah,
he was
he was thought to go earlier. I really like his mechanics too.
always a beast in the minors. Struggled a little bit at Double A while he was figuring out his control. And when he went to the majors went in Triple A, he had a little bit of a slow start, but pretty much dominant in the minors. And he's been great, just absolutely fantastic in the majors so far. And I'm not really going to read into the advanced stats too much because he's so young, and he is pitching a little bit better than he should be.
I
Uh,
mean, look at
by
the
that
teams
bit,
he's played. That's honestly
who's he pitched to?
the Mets, the Marlins, the Giants, and the Padres.
I mean, the Mets have a good offense, but yeah, the rest of those other three teams are awful. And but his strikeout rate's honestly lower than I expected, so I think that could get better. Though he's also going to walk probably more guys too, so I think he's going to not keep up this
Well, yeah,
Cy
obviously,
Young
I don't think he's gonna be a
pace.
1.48 ERA
Yeah, exactly. But I
for
think
the rest
he's
of the season, rest of
really,
his career.
yeah, really promising, especially once the strikeouts come back because
I mean,
he's a,
the year
he,
after he was drafted, he was ranked the number 3 left-handed prospect in baseball behind
yeah,
Andrew Heaney and Blake Snell.
right. Who both had their up and downs and their injuries, and Blake Snell's back in the minors, and I think
Yeah,
Heaney's hurt, but those guys are very talented as well. And I like Newcomb. If you can still buy low on him, definitely look into it, especially in a keeper league. I own him. I'm very happy to. I'm surprised. Do you own him, Farbone, or other in our other league?
I haven't checked. I don't own him. I haven't checked if anyone had him because I assume.
I think someone added him. I thought it was you.
Yeah, I
Uh,
assume someone had him because I was like looking up just Braves guys. Yeah.
and Bartolo Colon just got DFA'd, so he's set in the rotation for us this season. So there was a short period of time where some people thought that they were going to send him back down to keep Bartolo in, but the Braves ended up going to a 6-man rotation. Now they're sadly getting rid of Big Sexy
You think
because
Big
he
Sexy is
is.
gonna go to the Mets?
I think Big Sexy's done. He's so bad now.
Really?
Unfortunately,
You think
finally,
he's done?
he's been horrendous, like really fucking bad this year. I mean, there's ineffective
I
and
think it
like
depends
there's
on how far the Mets slide.
I guess maybe like the Padres will sign him,
Yeah,
but
for like the rest of the season, if he keeps pitching like this, I think like you said, I think he's done.
yeah, Newcomb, talented young arm going forward,
Here to
lefty,
stay.
definitely here to stay.
I agree with that, and I'm okay. I'm as an Angel fan, I'm proud. I'm like happy for him. You know what I mean? But I'm also seeing like what could have been. That's the.
Yeah, at least you have Simba.
I'm happy with what Simmons is bringing too. But you know what I mean. All right. Well, I mean, for that just wraps it up for our fantasy, not fantasy podcast.
We should do a fantasy podcast though.
I'm very,
Fantasy podcast. We
I'm
should
kind of
draft,
concerned what that is.
rank all our favorite pans.
Okay. Sure. Thank you everybody for listening in on another podcast. We're always trying to get more and more content out to you, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned. As always, we welcome any feedback. You can do so by tweeting us at WPB_podcast. You can check out our website. The link will be below. You can comment below. Anywhere you can reach out to us and give us feedback, whether good or constructive criticism. We will take it with open arms. This has been great. We'll see you next time. Peace.